So, the story that I have chosen is God Sees the Truth But Waits by Leo Tolstoy. So, before I tell you the synopsis of the selection, Leo Tolstoy came from the aristocratic family in Russia. He was born on September 9, 1828 and died on November 20, 1910. Leo Tolstoy was known as a master of realistic literature, which is the genre is fiction. Furthermore, he is also recognized as one of the greatest novelists in the world. Some of his famous masterpieces are Anna Karenina and War and Peace. So here is the synopsis of the selection. Ivan Dmitrich Aksionov is a successful merchant who lived with his wife and son in the Russian town of Vladimir. Aksionov wanted to sell his items in the Nizi fair one summer, but when his wife heard of this, she urged him not to go since she had a vision that he might come back home with gray hair. But Aksionov laughed at her and having to tell her that this is just a hunch and is a lucky sign. Aksionov meets up with a fellow trader in the midst of town. They had a cup of tea and slept on the floor just next to the room. He awoke before the sun shone and commanded his driver to get the horse. He met the landlord while they were traveling, and he gave him the money for his rent. When Aksionov became tired, they came to a halt and fed his horse. So while they are resting, two soldiers come closer and begin questioning him. They questioned him regarding who he was, where he came from, and why he left so early, and what he had in common with the merchant he had slept with the night before. Aksionov is mystified as to why these soldiers are questioning him in this manner. The soldiers claim to have that they discovered a dead merchant with a slit throat. So he is shivering while the soldiers are searching his bag, and in his purse they spotted a blooded knife. So officials apprehend him. His wife came to see him and passed out when she saw him clothed with a criminal dress. So Aksionov is aware that his wife is likewise suspicious of him. So after that, he believes that only God is aware of the facts. He is started to place his trust in God and surrender his life to him. So he was deported to Siberia with the other prisoner, and after a years in this setting, his hair turns into white just as his wife predicted. Makar Simulik, a freshly arrived prisoner, appears one day. He is the same age as Aksionov and hails from the same town. While listening to Makar's story, he already suspects him of being the one who's responsible for the merchant's death. Aksionov was unable to sleep after a week. While out for walking, he notices Makar working on a tunnel. So Makar warns him not to inform the authorities because if he do, he will kill him. Makar has already taken his life as what Aksionov says. So, the tunnel was discovered by the official but no one admitted who dug it. Even though he knew he would be punished, Aksionov kept quiet about Makar's story. So, Makar appeared to Aksionov that night as he was about to take a nap, seeking for forgiveness. He did admit that he's the one who killed the merchant and the one who put the knife inside the bag. So the old man responds that his life is over and that he has nowhere to go even if he becomes free. Axino feels lighter that his after a serious conversation with Makar. He has no desire to go back home, and all he wishes is to die. So Makar tells the governor everything at the end of the story. But by the time they arrange for Axinov's release, he is already dead. So here is the context of the selection. This story is about a young merchant who's ended up in jail for a crime he didn't commit. He placed all of his hope in God all through his 26 years in prison. And in the year of 1872, it was made by a Russian author whose name is Leo Tolstoy. So this is the critic of the story. The story's point of view on life is repentance and acknowledgement, and Aksionov is the one character who clearly states this point of view. And according to the Bible, God creates both the universe and humans. So, with that in mind, I say the relationship is somewhat complicated. A man must obey God and protect all of his creations. So, About the nature of good and evil, this story demonstrates that good is a gift from God, whereas evil is something for which we are responsible of. Our unethical serve as an example of evil. So, good is rewarded and bad is punished. Maybe not right now, after you have done anything, but eventually. So, when we talk about human nature, we are referring about the feelings, behavior, and perhaps other aspects that humans have shared with one another. People change as a result of social and environmental circumstances that have a significant impact on them. So, my insight in this story is that there are consequences to what we are doing in this life, and just let God judge that individual who commit something bad.